everyone, welcome back. Today we are making braised beef tips with gravy on top of rustic mashed potatoes. Really excited. It's really easy to make. To start with, I used a paper towel to dry off my beef tips. I seasoned with salt, pepper, and garlic powder, and I browned them within my pan. So they're all browned. I set them on the side. They're not fully cooked because we're going to add them back in later. We brown them in the beginning just so they get a good color. Now I'm cooking one large onion in my same pan that I cooked the beef tips in. I have added a little bit of avocado oil, and we're scraping off all those beautiful brown bits at the bottom. It's got a lot of really great flavor in there. So once those start to get translucent, we will add in our carrot to get it a little bit toasty, and we will also want them to soften up. Made bone broth this morning. I do have a full video on bone broth. If you need the link, I can post that above. Making rustic mashed potatoes. All that means is I've left the skin on them, so they have a bit more of a chew, more of a texture, and I really like that along with this. All right, lovely. So those are nice and translucent. I'm going to add in, I've cut up 3 medium carrots, 3 to 4 medium carrots. We're going to put those in there, get them nice and toasty. I am going to season them at this point. So I'm going to add in some black pepper, a little bit of kosher salt. I'm using oregano, but if you don't like oregano, or if you just have Italian seasoning, you can use that as well. Oregano. I'm also using some garlic powder. A lot of garlic powder. I love garlic powder. Alright. Beautiful. At the very end, I am going to put my tomatoes on a vine in a separate pan just until they get nice and toasty, and then they start to burst. And I'm going to put it on top. Gives it really good color. You don't have to do this. I just think it's fun and a good way to present it. Alright. Beautiful. Now that I've gotten a little bit of color on my carrot, going to add in some of that bone broth I made. Then we're going to let it simmer until my carrots are nice and fork tender. Alright. There's a big vat of my bone broth. When I make bone broth, it makes a lot. And so what I do is I freeze most of it in smaller containers. That way I can use it later on. But I would love to use some of it for dinner. So I have a large amount that I am making today. So I'm going to fill the pan about 1/3 full. Dropped a little on my burner. We want enough so that it's going to cover our beef tips. But I'm not making stew, so it doesn't need to be enough to make it soupy. So a little bit less than stew, but enough so that everybody gets some gravy. All right, beautiful. So I will package this into smaller portions. We're going to go ahead and let this boil until my carrots are soft. All right, we'll be right back. Okay, my carrots are nice and fork tender. I did add a little bit of Better Than Bouillon, the beef base, to add a little bit more flavor to the broth, and I did add a little bit more pepper and a little bit more garlic powder. So at this point you want to taste your broth, make sure it's the way that you like. Now I'm going to add in a little bit of cornstarch mixed with some water. This is my thickening agent. I'm not adding in a lot, just a very small amount. And this is going to allow me to thicken the gravy and keep it gluten-free. You're also welcome to use flour to thicken it. You're just going to want to cook that flour taste out of it. All right. At this point, I'm going to lower my heat, reintroduce my beef tips. Now I'm going to let my beef tips reheat. So we're going to let this come together for about 5 minutes or so, keeping an eye on it, making sure it's not getting too thick. You can place a lid on it. So while that is all coming together, I am going to go ahead and cook my beautiful little cherry tomatoes. So in a separate pan, I'm going to add a little bit of avocado oil. I'm going to go ahead and turn it on to medium-high heat. I'm going to place my tomatoes right in. I'm going to salt and pepper on top of it. As they start to burst, it will combine with it as well. Just a little bit of pepper, a little bit of salt, and a bit of garlic powder, just like so. And I'm going to place a lid on it until they burst. It's very exciting. I do have my mashed potatoes all ready to go. So what we will do, we will serve mashed potatoes, our gravy, and our beef tips, and then we will top it with our oregano and our burst tomatoes. All right, it's time to serve. So I have taken my mashed potatoes, put them in my bowl, and I've created almost a bowl in the center of my mashed potatoes to collect everything in the center. You can see the mashed potatoes. Okay. Right into the center. You want to make sure they get a good amount of meat along with the gravy. Beautiful. After both. Just like so. Now we're going to get up some oregano. I like to keep the leaves larger, so I just pull it apart with my fingers. You're welcome to chop them up, whatever works best for you. This also is not necessary, it's just nice to have if you have it on hand. All right, now I'm going to very carefully, I'm going to use a spatula to get out my burst tomatoes. Just to make sure that they all don't pop off. And there you have it. Beef tips with mashed potatoes and burst tomatoes. Enjoy.